All right, we got another gambling situation. Now, here's the thing about this current gambling situation, and I think this is important for me to point out because most of us don't really pay that close attention to baseball. All right, we had the Terry Rozier situation over there in the NBA. We had Jonte Porter. We got Malik Beasley. All players that you've probably heard of, though, to be perfectly honest, you only really know about Jonte Porter because he got caught gambling. All right, or maybe you're just a really big Michael Porter fan. Either way it goes, that's how you would know about who those people are. Baseball's got a little bit of a situation because they got an actual factual good player that is ensnared in something. And that is Emmanuel Clase. He is a relief pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. And you're like, yeah, he's a relief pitcher. He led the league in saves 3 straight years, and he was third in the Cy Young voting in 2024. And he was having a pretty good 2025 until people found out, hey, being investigated for some gambling shenanigans. It's another player on the Guardians named Luis Ortiz. Both of these cats were indicted for pitch rigging. Yes. And you may be asking yourself, what is pitch rigging? Which, I mean, at once, it's exactly what it sounds like. But Ryan, you would also have to admit, on the other hand, it sounds like it could just be slang for something nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that those words together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pitch rigging. I
yeah,
need to talk a little faster. Like these things happen. Like Marcus Spears, I forget what it is. Oh, what Dominique does Get Up. They got a segment called "What Did D Fox Say?" For those of you who don't speak antiquated internet. But anyway, it's what does D Fox say? And they got to cut in to my man Marcus Spears being like, I don't supposed to say that because I'm country and I don't want to say the wrong thing,
that's
right?
that's that's being your own self defensive coordinator.
That is correct. Pitch rigging had me being like, "Ooh, I'm glad this is my own show. Otherwise, this could be really dangerous." But anyway, pitch rigging is this: at these gambling houses, you can do a prop bet on not just whether or not a pitch is going to be a ball or a strike, but also what the velocity of that pitch is going to be. And I'm assuming that you can only do this on the first pitch because otherwise, I know they work very hard to make sure that the technology works so that everybody's on the same time. You know what I mean? But it's only truly sustainable, I feel like, if you can make this work on the first pitch that a pitcher throws. So, yes, just so you understand what it is, you bet on Emmanuel Clase whether or not his first pitch is going to be a ball or a strike. Or, and this is what I never considered, they appear to also do an over under on the velocity of the pitch. Okay. So you can bet on whether or not the pitch is going to be a ball or a strike or over under, we'll call it 93 miles an hour on the pitch. These are things that you can bet on. All right. And so what the accusation is that Clase was intentionally throwing balls and then call it a slider off the top rather than a cutter off the top rather than a slider. And then there were people who were betting on this. And very important detail, Clase was also giving people money to bet on this for himself, right? Then they are accusing him of taking $5,000 to get another one of his partners, Luis Ortiz, also a pitcher, in on the same game. Now, I have to be honest with you. When I first heard about the story, all I heard about was the $5,000. And I was like, brother, if you risked it all for $5,000. But he didn't risk it all for $5,000. It actually turns out he really just risked it all for like $60,000. There was a contract certainly coming down the pike for this dude, for probably $100 million, right? This was where it was going for him. But then this happened. Okay. I want to try to avoid the wow, that's really stupid angle on this, right? Because I think that the stupidity is somewhat obvious, number one. Number two, um, I'll never forget when my brother told me this when I was younger. It's like 25 years ago, he told me this, but it was a very important point, which is some people just really don't have good judgment. And those people who do have good judgment, or at the very least, decent judgment, we will never be able to understand people who don't know a bad idea when it's staring them in the face. You know what I mean? Like, never. We're never going to be the same people as those people where we can look at it and be like, oh, wow, that guy obviously could not tell not to touch that blazing hot stove. Some people just have terrible judgment. This is an example of terrible judgment, or I don't know why this cat might have needed the money. Like when we were talking about dudes like Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, these cats had hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Earned hundreds of millions of dollars at this point, right? It's like, how did you get here? Terry Rozier, clearly under a significant amount of debt. Chauncey Billups, presumably a similar thing, but we don't really know the answer. This cat right here been making a couple $3 million a year in baseball so far, and that isn't as much money as it sounds like. And this is what I mean when I say it isn't as much money as it sounds like. Most people who get to a place of making like $3 million have been making money along the way. And so you've built up and you've bought all the stuff that you need. And then these millions of dollars kind of become gravy. Maybe you buy a bigger house or whatever it is. If you starting from zero, and I don't know anything about Emmanuel Clase, right? Like he might be the Fresh Prince of Santo Domingo or wherever he is from the Dominican, right? His people may have all the paper. I have no idea. Okay. If I had to guess, I would not assume that he comes from bread. That's just typically not the story that we get on the Dominican baseball players. Although it would be really funny if some of them are like really bougie and we just have no idea. Like I got a partner in New York and he married to a woman from a South American country and he would like try to impress her and take her to the neighborhood, right? Where the people from her country be. And she had to explain to him that, hey, man, while it is cool to be around my people, I'm a little fancier than this. You know what I mean? Like they're like in the old country, she don't be hanging out in the type of neighborhood that is the neighborhood in the Bronx or in Inwood or wherever they be. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's how it goes. Either way, let's start from the presumption that Class A don't have a lot of money. Let's then say that he's been making $1 million a year, couple $1 million a year. Like I looked it up, he ain't really hit for the big score yet, right? How much of that money is going back to the crib, right? Like I don't know how many people are depending on him. So what I'm saying there is a difference between making a lot of money and having a lot of money. And it is entirely possible that Class A is a person who has a lot of money. And therefore, an extra 60 G's, you know, might be a thing. On the other hand, Ryan, I believe they said that the other people in this plot were making like upwards of six figures in this, like the people that were behind him. I feel like Class A should have got his agent involved
Right.
in this. I don't think he's getting a big enough like split off of this.
For sure.
Yeah, like I don't. Also, are these people who are running this game? Are they placing their bets domestically rather than offshore, where it's a little harder to track? Number one, number two, they ain't got no crypto. Okay,
It,
now I'm out here criticizing them for being stupid. Go ahead.
it's yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds like they're running like these games from all sorts of books, but like it does while the offshore books are harder to catch,
Yeah, they're still
they're still sports books.
got you, got you. That's a good point. They're
Yeah.
still doing
They're
stuff.
they're still trying to make money the same way.
Yeah, and also they're still trying not to get caught up.
Correct. Yes.
Right? They're still okay. Totally makes sense. You are correct. But um, what struck me about this story was the idea that you could bet on how fast the pitch was, or the idea that you could bet on something as simple as balls and strikes. The ability to do this, the sports books and the leagues set themselves up for this. Now, one could argue that what I am engaging in is a measure of victim blaming because by nature of this, the crime is against the casino. Therefore, the casino is the victim in this case. And I think that point is important to bring up that the victim is the casino because in baseball, man, they be burning pitches all the time, right? What do I probably need to throw a strike right now, but it's my turn to hit somebody in the ear hole. You know what I mean? Like one pitch, they'll burn a pitch all the time. These are not crimes against the integrity of the game as far as the accusation goes. It's just not. These are crimes against the fiduciary sanctity of the sports books. That is against whom the crime has been committed. And I don't care that much about that. Right. And I needed to be a little more careful in my brain as I think about this when it relates to the basketball stuff also. Nobody over there has been accused of fixing a game. I still think that that story was fairly catastrophic because number one, it truly exposed the vulnerability of that league of guys who have made hundreds of millions of dollars could get caught up like this. If a Hall of Famer could get caught up like this, but because an NBA head coach may be in the pocket of organized crime, I think that that story was catastrophic. For baseball, these guys, this isn't the Black Sox, right? This ain't 8 men out. This is a dude trying to get over on the casino. I don't care that much about that. I also look at that from the standpoints of the casino and I say that's what you get. Now, to be fair to the casino, they're like, what do you mean that's what we get? What we do is we provide things for people to bet on. That's the business. Fair point. But y'all got a little greedy. Now, one could argue that they actually haven't gotten greedy because none of them are actually making any money. Also, fair point, right? However, this was so easily fixable and manipulable. Easily. And the reason is because it's nothing to burn a pitch, right? And number two, I decided to throw a slider instead of a cutter. My prerogative, baby.
Right. It's not fixing a game, or even, with what Terry Rozier was accused of doing, right, was essentially faking an injury. Was
Yes.
right. Was like betting an injury and saying like, oh my, I twisted my ankle and I only got 2 points instead of 8 or whatever.
Right.
Like that has a cost to your team.
Right.
Like,
But I also still say on that front, it has a cost to your team. Terry Rozier could get away with that, but Bam Adebayo could not.
correct.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
so how much Terry Rozier actually swings the game? Shit, sometimes his coach might be glad he ain't playing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best thing to ever happen to us, right?
Yeah, addition by subtraction.
Right, but he had no financial incentive to directly affect the outcome of the game.
Right.
Right. And so that makes it a little bit easier to encourage such behavior. In this case, there's nothing really to stop anybody from doing this. Right. The only thing that's really going to stop somebody from doing this is the fact that you might get caught. And what we are learning is that doesn't truly dissuade as many people as we would like to think. I'm gonna get caught, or maybe you won't. Like, do you remember in The Last Dance where they told Michael Jordan if he came back in 1985 that there was a 10% chance that his career could end? And he says, with a 90% chance that it won't, so I'm gonna play. That is the dumbest shit I have ever heard in my life.
But yeah, but to some people, 90 is greater than 10.
Right, right. But like that's Michael Jordan, who, by the way, doesn't appear to be dumb.
Right.
Terrible logic that
Yes.
he was using. Terrible. Think about, I don't eat raw oysters because of the odds. And those odds are way lower
less.
than 10%.
Right.
Right? Like, come on, man. But it's these thirst that everybody has to make as much money off this gambling as possible that they look at this and don't say to themselves, hey, man, this is really easy for somebody to try to fix. But oh, well, let's go out here and get this money. Now, since that story has come out on Monday, there was an announcement that baseball and the books have gotten together and decided to limit the prop bets to a maximum of $200 on this pitch thing. My question being, why could anybody ever bet more than $200 on this? Also, they have said that you can no longer attach these to parlays because that's a big part of what these cats was doing was Class A is going to throw a ball and Class A is going to be under 94 miles an hour. Put that together in a parlay. Voila, magic, right? Okay. Again, as good as Class A is, still seems really easy to track when somebody's decided to put some money on this and they're going to figure out what time it is. All right. This seems very, very simple for somebody to figure out, but it's simple to figure out, also meaning it's simple to induce somebody to engage in this. The fact that you know that you need to put a money limit on it in order to make it happen. Y'all know y'all got greedy. Okay. So to me, this one is not, I mean, you could argue that what we have is kind of an institutional failure of what like sports is becoming. Okay, cool, right? Not just sports, but society. But what this really is, y'all trying to get every dollar that people have, and then somebody caught y'all up in the process. This was a stupid thing for the books to allow to happen. And if you want to have prop bets generally, I get it. I think we're going to eventually trend to a place where it goes away. Except again, these people need to figure out how to make money, and this is a way that they've got to make money. But you can't make it this easy for people. You just can't. And they did. I will not weep for you, especially not when in the face of it, you were like, okay, well, let's just take the limit down. Y'all ain't learned nothing.